All right, good morning, traders. Today is November 11th, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. That is the day trading service for the hit and run candlesticks family. I want to thank everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you to everybody that shares the content. Appreciate it. Love that. Thank you. Thank you for all the kind words. All right, my SPY pivot this morning, 680.90. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. SPY and Diamond Down made higher highs, higher lows, closing over their bullish traps and over their 17 EMAs. IWM made an inside day. That's a lower high. It's a higher low, closing over a bearish trap, but under the 17. FNGU, QQQ made inside days, closing over bearish traps and over their 17 EMA. SPY closed with a 2-hour uptrend, 10-minute bullish consolidation. Gold in a daily downtrend, but moving up. Gold made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap and over the 17 EMA. Silver in a daily uptrend made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap and over the 17 EMA as well. USO in a downtrend made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish cross and over the 17 EMA. UNG went up there and it tackled that 2025 all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, UNG made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. US dollar index still in an uptrend, but still in the bear flag also. Closed near the 99.46 area. SPY max pain for today, and that only involves the options that expired today. With a put to call is 680 and a put to call ratio of about 1.2 puts for each call. That expires today at 4:15. If this is your first time here seeing the video, if you've got a little star next to, these are all in daily uptrends over the 17 EMA. These are all in daily downtrends under the 17 EMA. If they got a little star next to it, they're building out a launch pad from which to launch higher. Okay, so doesn't mean it's no guarantee they're going to launch higher, but it's a bull flag, and usually they do kind of launch higher. Most of them do, not all of them. Some of them fail. Bears, if they got a little star next to them, they're building out a platform from which to dip lower. All right, so that would be a bear flag from which to dip lower from. All right, so there's over the 17 daily uptrends, under the 17 EMA daily downtrends. All right, let's take a look at the chart this morning. We came into the close yesterday. You can see right here, kind of a flat line. All right, we finished off a 10-minute uptrend into 10-minute bullish consolidation. This morning, we've got consolidation over prior consolidation, looking like a little bit of pre-market chop. So could be a range-bound day where we do some more chopping. We'll see what happens this morning. This is a bullish environment, consolidation over a prior consolidation. Moving up and holding the higher ground, also a bullish environment. So on these bull flags, I like to trade them, all right, from the bottom up to the top, holding on to 20% of my position in case price does make a move up. So I trade them in this direction right here. So I go from the bottom up to the top, from the bottom up to the top, from the bottom up to the top. That's the way I trade them. All right, those are bull flags. When they hold the higher ground like that, pick up some at the bottom of the flag and release about 90% up here at the top of the flag. So could be looking at a range-bound day. 2-hour chart. Let's take some of this stuff off of here, if I can get it off here. Delete, and delete. All right, let's take a look at the 2-hour chart. The yellow line, that is the 3 EMA. We've got candlesticks riding on top of the yellow 3 EMA. All right, and then we've got the white line, that is the 8 EMA, and the green dots are the 17 EMA. So we've got daylight between the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA. Both of them are pointed up, so we have a 2-hour uptrend. Okay, on the daily chart, we made a lower low here, and we're still, let me look at this. Well, we're still in a downtrend until we get up over this high, okay? Because I don't see any real pivot unless we take out, that's kind of a shelf right there. You can see we're approaching this shelf right here. So we could be in a range-bound day where we consolidate kind of in a box right down here and just grind away at overhead supply, because this is the all-time high right here. We're about $4 away from the all-time high, $5 away from the all-time high. So it would be normal to chop around here for about 4 hours, maybe even all day, before making a move higher, if we even do make a move higher. So it's either that or we pull back to the 8 EMA, grab some more spinach and red meat, and then make another run back at the wall up here, located at about 686, 685 area. All right, so you got, see how this candle stops here, this candle stops here, this candle stops here, this candle stops here. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a wall formed right there. Okay, and then you got a move up and then a move down. So you can see we could run into some traffic up here sometime today, so it's going to be probably a range-bound day. Probably move up, maybe give it up. All right, so in other words, probably poke up here and probably give it up in the afternoon or late morning. So there's SPY on the daily chart. We're in a downtrend, but we're moving up. If I back way out, you can see the candlestick way up there. Okay, so here's our April low. We're up at the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish. Okay, we're in a downtrend that's not moving down. This is the all-time high right here. We're not far. We're up over the all-time high. You can see yesterday's candle. Let me make sure I got the right one. Yesterday's candle's a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. So, and we're running into traffic right here in the pre-market up here at 685, 686 area. Okay, on the day, on the weekly chart, you can see the 3 up over the 8. They're all pointed up. Definitely a weekly uptrend right there. You can see 3 over the 8. Everything pointed up. Daylight between the 3 and the 8. Nice weekly uptrend right there. Monthly, same thing. Candlesticks riding on top of the 3. 3 in the candlesticks riding over the 8. All 3 of those riding over the rising 17. You can see daylight between the 3 and the 8. Daylight between the 8 and the 17. Everything's pointed up. We have a monthly uptrend as well up here. So looking like 700 could be in the target zone maybe by the end of the month. We'll see what happens. But there's the monthly chart. Okay, so we're bullish, but in a downtrend till we make a higher high. All right, so we don't have quite any peaks here to make a higher high from. We made a lower low right here, so we'll see what happens. There's SPY. Let's take a look at QQQ. QQQ, we're going to look at the 10-minute chart, and you can see we have the same 10-minute consolidation right through here. Okay, so a 10-minute bullish consolidation. Again, that's holding the higher ground. You can see we got a little bit of chop. Up over VWAP, under VWAP, over VWAP. Little pre-market chop there. Again, probably running into the same range-bound area that SPY was running into. All right, so we got consolidation over consolidation. That's a bullish environment. They're holding the higher ground over the prior consolidation. That's another bullish clue. We're up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's a purple line right there. There's another bullish clue right there. Now, my favorite trade inside QQQ and SPY, that's going to be the 10-minute uptrend over VWAP that resides inside the 2-hour uptrend that resides inside the daily uptrend, inside the weekly uptrend, inside the monthly uptrend. Okay, got all the bigger time frames supporting my little 10-minute uptrend. So that's my favorite trade. And then when they're all over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's the ultimate for me. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. QQQ and SPY. We have the 2-hour uptrend. Daily's not technically not in an uptrend on SPY, but let me just say this: it's not moving down; it's moving up. So we got kind of a daily, a quasi uptrend on the daily on SPY. All right, let's take a look at the 2-hour chart for QQQ. 2-hour chart, you got the candlesticks riding on top of the 3 riding on top of the 8 riding on top of the 17. Everything pointed up here. So we have a 2-hour uptrend in the QQQ. All right, bullish consolidation, 2-hour uptrend. Daily chart, inside day yesterday for QQQ, lower high, higher low, closing over, I'm going to call it a bullish cross or a bearish trap over the 17 EMA. They closed under the all-time high anchored VWAP, but in the post-market, pre-market, in the pre-market, we're up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Nice little bullish clue there. There's for QQQ. Again, they haven't run into the consolidation. They're kind of running into a little bit of resistance, maybe right there. Okay, 627 area, right around there. You can see there's some traffic, and you can see price in the pre-market kind of halted right here where you see the candle wicks. All right, reach up and touch the candle lows here on the QQQ in the recent past. Okay, so obviously we got some resistance right there. If we can climb on top of that by end of day, hold that higher ground, that would be really interesting for the rest of the week. There's QQQ on the daily chart. All right, on the daily chart, QQQ still in a downtrend until they take out this high right up here. Okay, so they have to take out the highs as well. They're in a downtrend, but the fact is they're not moving down, they're moving up. All right, so QQQ weekly chart. Again, candlesticks riding on the 3 over the 8 over the 17, everything pointed up. Daylight between 3 and the 8, daylight between the 8 and the 17. We are in an uptrend there on the weekly chart. Same deal on the monthly chart. Okay, candlesticks riding on the 3, everything pointed up. Monthly uptrend on QQQ. Let's take a look at IWM, and we'll look at it on the daily chart. On the daily chart for IWM, we've got a inside day, lower high, higher low. It's this candle right here. Okay, closing over a bearish trap, but under the 17 EMA and under the all-time high anchored VWAP. IWM in the pre-market up here are rising up through all-time, well, not the all-time high anchored VWAP, but the test of the all-time high anchored VWAP right there. So test, this is the test, this is the all-time, this will be the retest of it, and you can see price action kind of rising up through the test anchored VWAP right there on IWM. IWM still in a downtrend. They made lower lows, yet to make a higher high yet, so IWM still in a downtrend, but the good news is they're not moving down since they broke this low right here. That put them in a downtrend, making a lower low, and they're moving up. So there's IWM. In the middle of quadrant 4, that's bullish. Still in a downtrend, but moving up. All right. And they're up there in the middle of quadrant 4, so that makes them still bullish. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow had a really nice candle yesterday. And Diamond Dow actually making a new all-time high here in the pre-market. You can see price action up over that wick. That is the all-time high. Diamond Dow's candle, higher low, higher high, closing over bullish trap over 17. Okay. Up over all-time high anchored VWAP. Did Diamond Dow ever get into a downtrend? Well, they took out this low right here. So that was a downtrend. But they did run back and take out this high. So that made cancel the downtrend. So they're in an uptrend on Diamond Dow and making new all-time highs. So if they didn't take out this high, they took out the all-time high here in the pre-market. So uptrend for Diamond Dow and bullish, top of quadrant 4. I'll zoom way out again. April low, all-time highs right here today. New all-time high for Diamond Dow. Let's take a look at FNGU. All right, you can watch FNGU or you can watch MAGS. Either one. This is the Round Hill Magnificent 7, which kind of encompasses some of the major big caps that are heavily weighted inside QQQ or SPY. All right, I watch the FNGU. Either one will serve you well, all right, to be informed about where the big, the heavyweights are moving. All right, so price action for FNGU yesterday is an inside day, lower high, higher low, closing over bearish trap over the 17 EMA and over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, nice move there. So FNGU still in a downtrend. See the low here? They made a lower low, so they're in a downtrend. Here's the good news. They're not moving down, they're moving up. Okay, so there's FNGU on the daily chart. All right, so keep an eye on that. We want this one to continue moving up higher. All right, let's take a look at silver and gold. Both made higher lows and higher highs yesterday, closing over bullish traps over the 17 EMA. Gold still in a downtrend till it takes out this high right here that rises up over the 17. It's in the middle of quadrant 4, so that's bullish and in a downtrend that's not moving down. All right, so here's gold. Let's put the all-time high anchored VWAP up. And you can see price action closed over that all-time high anchored VWAP for gold. Like to see them hold the higher ground on that. That would be nice, and possibly start making their way back up to test the all-time high. So gold still stuck in a downtrend, just a label, remember that. Okay, and in the middle of quadrant 4 here, ready to stage a test on the all-time highs. We'll see. They're either going to do that or probably make a W pattern. We'll see what happens. SLB, silver. Silver, yesterday's candle, nice. Higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap over the 17 EMA. We got a high right here. They made a higher high. They're definitely in an uptrend. Silver kind of setting itself up to challenge the all-time high. Let's put the anchored VWAP on there. There's the all-time high. You can see the last 2 days closing over the all-time high anchored VWAP. I like consolidation, but if you want to move up, that's fine with me too. I'd rather see the consolidation forming a nice foundation from which to hold price up on. Okay, so we'll see. I like this foundation here. I'd like to see them put in a foundation just above it and do the same thing again. I don't need to get there today, all right? But if you build out a foundation like this, that would be nice from which to launch higher. So there's silver in an uptrend, middle of quadrant 4, almost near the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish and in an uptrend. Let's take a look at UNG. All right, UNG is tackling the 2025 high anchored VWAP here, okay? So there's the 2025 high right there, anchored VWAP price action, made the higher low, making higher highs, so it's in an uptrend. Nice little candle yesterday. I hope that's not exhaustion. Like to see them climb on top of that, maybe hold the higher ground for once. That would be nice if they could get up there and just hold the higher ground, as opposed to going up and giving it up every time they go up. You can see they can't hold more than like three candle highs. See this? 3 candles. This one got 5 candles. Next one, 1 candle. Next one, 1 candle. Next one, 1 candle. 3 candles and roll over. So I like this. 4 candles and then a breakout. So that was nice to see that for once in a while. Okay, so UNG on the daily chart, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. Let's look at this. Okay, we're still down here in quadrant 1. Okay, so let's not get too excited. We do have an uptrend. We did make a higher high. Like to see the hold of higher ground. All right, need to get up on top of that and consolidate for 6 days. That would be really nice. All right, we'll see what UNG is going to do. We'll see if things are going to fall apart or if they can actually get up there and hold. All right, so there's UNG. That's Nat Gas ETF. Let's take a look at USO. Okay, USO in a downtrend. All right, they got themselves in a downtrend by, here's a valley low right here by making a lower low. So they're in a downtrend. So if they take out this peak high right there, that little wick, if they could take that wick out, they would negate the downtrend and convert the uptrend. Okay, so there's USO stuck in a downtrend. All right, still at the midpoint here. Same place it's been almost, for the last 3 months. Okay, at the midpoint. Price action for yesterday, higher low, higher high. Let me make sure I got the right candle. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish cross or a bullish trap. And over the 17 right here at the midpoint, still neutral. Okay, not in the upper third, not in the lower third. Still neutral right there. Let's take a look at our technicals. On the technicals, the only thing I see disturbing here, T2101, we moved up yesterday. Well, no, this was not disturbing. This was good. We moved up yesterday, and price participation moved up. So that was nice to see. Price participation on T2101 moving up. But I got to tell you, sometimes the very next day, they move up again, and price participation moves down. So I don't know what to make of it. All right, it's kind of seems like we're getting a changing of the guard here, because some days we move up, some days we move down when price moves up. So kind of a little bit confusing here in T2101, and that's what makes me think we're having a change of the guard here. So maybe some sector rotation. We'll see what happens. That's T2101, T2122 camping out in the buy zone all day. Nice work on the bulls part. I hope that is replicated in the T2123. Let's take a look at that next. Like to see this. I don't even want to get into the overbought zone. I would really like to see this just, if they could just hold the buy zone, even dip into the chop zone, but come right back and finish the day in the buy zone, I'd be a pretty happy camper. I'm figuring we're going to get chopped today with that 4-candle shelf on the SPY and that kind of bearish engulfing moves that's in between it. So we'll see what happens, but hopefully we kind of just camp out in the buy zone, pick up some spinach, some red meat, some mustard, and then make a nice run at those all-time highs. We'll see. 15-minute chart right here, price action, closing up over the falling 200 SMA. Nice move on the bulls part. Let's look at the reality of it. This is the all-time high. This is the pullback low. We made a lower low. We're still in a downtrend. We did note we're in an uptrend because we made a little higher high right here. See, we got some candles up over the green, over the 17. So we converted the downtrend into an uptrend. So we now have an uptrend, all right, commencing, because we just started it because we broke that higher high. Okay, so downtrend, an uptrend commencing or observed right now. Up over, but we're still down here in quadrant 1. Okay, this is the bearish quadrant. Lower third, bearish. Upper third, bullish. In between, just neutral. All right, so starting a new uptrend right now on T2123 15-minute chart. Got a bullish gap here that didn't get filled. That's a pretty picture. Another bullish gap here that didn't get filled. That's a pretty picture. Bulls taking a hold of the horns here and trying to move price and muscle it higher. So nice to see that. I want to see more bearish gaps get filled. Okay. Got one right here. All right. I want to see it get filled. I'm talking to you bulls out there. Okay. Want to see this get filled. Want to see this bearish gap get filled. I want to see this bearish gap get filled. Got a ton of bearish gaps that need to be filled. And I need to see us up over the lower third. All right. Got to break out of this quadrant 1. All right. So not it's a nice, but nothing to get excited about yet on T2123. 3-bar chart. Still in a downtrend. Never made any higher highs. You can see on the 15-minute, we've got some highs right here. Right there, just a little bit, not much, up over the 17. And we made, you can see right here, higher highs right there. So we'll see. Got a bearish gap. I want to see that gap get filled. All right, 3-bar chart has not made the higher highs yet. So still in a downtrend. Still trapped underneath the 200 SMA. Not my favorite place to be unless I'm a bear. There's T2123. Still at the bottom of quadrant 1 down here. So from the pullback high. But let's look at the big picture. Okay. From the low to the all-time high. We're up here at the bottom of quadrant 4. Okay. So this is a pullback. So this is kind of neutral. We got some bearish activity and some remnants of bullish activity. Showing a head and shoulders right now. Need to decapitate the head to void the head and shoulders. It's a lot of work to be done on T2123. Not sure if they're going to get that done. FNGU, nice work here. Closing up over, falling 200 SMA at the end of the day. They're in an uptrend. They came into, just like QQQ and SPY, 10-minute bullish consolidation. And now we've got consolidation over prior consolidation. All right, so that's a bullish environment. Holding the higher ground, that's a bullish environment. Up over the 200 SMA, that's a bullish environment. And we're up over the all-time high anchored VWAP in the pre-market. That's a bullish environment. So I'm a bull, but I got to say, based on what I saw in SPY QQQ, they're approaching resistance. I got to recognize it is what it is. So we probably move up and then pull back. It's either that or we just move in a channel to the right for 2 or 3 days or maybe a day and hopefully get a breakout or try to break out. I don't want to see a failed breakout because that means now we got to start testing lows again, okay? I don't want a failed breakout. I'd rather just see them consolidate than do a failed breakout, okay? If they're going to do the breakout, get it done, you know, and hold the higher ground. We'll see. FNGU, 15-minute chart, uptrend and up over that 200 SMA. All of that bullish environment holding this higher ground. And I'll zoom way out so you can see from T21. Now it's just a 15. Can't zoom out too far on that one. All right, you can see us right now up over this prior consolidation. See all of this? This is what saved FNGU earlier, okay? We're rising up over this consolidation. We actually tested major support down here. See this? This is the major support valleys right there. We break those lows, things fall apart. I don't like the idea that it got tested, all right? I like that it got tested and survived, but you keep testing it, you know, and pretty much it turns into Swiss cheese, and the next time they're breaking through. So we were due for a test anyways. I guess I better like it because that's the best we're going to get for right now. All right, so there we are with FNGU. All right, let's take a look at the economic package. Then we'll take a look at the game plans, how we're going to trade SPY. All right, economic package here on the dollar. Let's zoom out. You can see price action for the dollar. And we've got arrows. Okay, price moves down and then over to the right. So that's a bear flag, okay? on the dollar, if we move in here, okay, on the dollar we've got some higher lows right here. We've got a low here, got a little higher low, got a high there. We made a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So we're in a daily uptrend right now, okay? But we're still inside that bear flag, all right? So we're testing the top side of that bear flag. Still in that daily uptrend. So there's US dollar. Max pain for today, 680. That's for the puts and calls that expired today. Put to call ratio, 1.2 puts, 1.23 puts for each call that expires today. Earnings is not much going on. Nothing really here that's market moving. We do have Cisco's going to report 284 billion, but Cisco used to move the market back in the day. Not anymore. All right, not anymore. Nothing to really worry about here. It'll definitely play an impact on the sector, but it's not the big player that it used to be. Since AI has come along, Cisco's kind of taken a step back from being a sector manipulator. But 284 billion due to report tonight sometime for Cisco. Again, more familiar names, but nothing here that's going to move the markets. They'll definitely help out their sectors. Thursday, Disney, there's retail right there. Again, used to be a market mover, not anymore. All right, definitely help out the retail sector, but not gonna move the markets on some Disney misses or if they hit their numbers or exceed their numbers. Either way, it's not going to rip the markets in the new. This will not be the cause, all right? Ending the government shutdown, that will be something that could move the markets, although I do think a lot of that has already been baked in to price action. So we'll see what happens. Applied Materials, 181 billion. They're going to report tonight. Mitsubishi Financial, 183 billion. And Sumitomo Financial, 106 billion. Again, both of those guys still trying to compile the P&Ls so they can make the proper reports on time. So they're probably going to be delayed. All right. So there's nothing here that's going to be market moving. This is going to be happening today, other than maybe an end to the government shutdown. All right. Friday. All right. Again, more familiar names. Nothing that's going to be market moving on the economic calendar. All right, so we come back from Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to all the vets out there. All right, thank you for all that served. Wednesday, what do we got? NBA mortgage applications at 7. Always at 7 on Wednesday. Other than that, nothing's going on. A really light day. So whoever's got the ball can continue to make first downs. So we may see another first down from the Bulls today. We'll see. All right, the big event this week, CPI 830, and maybe the end to the government shutdown. And who knows what kind of a flood of economic data we're going to get once they end the government shutdown. So CPI data comes out tomorrow, 8:30. I don't think there's anything there that's going to disrupt the markets. I really don't. I think we're still kind of working through the tariffs are on, the tariffs are off kind of scenario. And we're running into holiday season. So there's going to be a lot of buying anyway. So I don't know how CPI can really play a part this early in the game, this late in the game for the year. The Fed's already said how many basis points they're going to cut, and they've already hit their target. So I don't care what CPI says. I kind of think we're just going to keep moving in the same direction we've been moving, which is up. And Friday, we'll discuss Friday when we get to Thursday. All right, so that's it. Game plans for today. Again, on SPY, I'm telling you, I think we're going to get chopped for about 4 or 5 hours and then make a rise or a breakout. at the end of the day. That's what I think, all right? Only because you got a shelf here, there's a top, there's a top, there's a top or a high, there's a high, all right? So right here. And we're leaning on the high right now, okay? So you got 4 highs there and then a rollover up top, kind of showing us that they're not ready yet. We need to consolidate and burn away more of the open supply of price up there, inventory. So I think we need to burn through some more inventory. Plus we got all of this inventory to burn through. So chances are we're just going to move to the right today. That's really my opinion. I think we move inside this box over to the right. We'll see. If they get up there, I think they lose it by end of day or tomorrow morning. All right, we'll see what happens. There's SPY. All right, on the daily chart. For the game plan, let's take a look on the 15-minute chart, of course. Okay. Okay, they keep moving this around on me. I don't know why. But the gold line right here. Okay, so my pivot. Just going to go to a different one. See how they move it around? It's ridiculous. All right. Green erases red over 683.40. Again, I think the ceiling's going to be near 686.50. Okay. Pivot is 680.90. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. I still think they're going to chop around all day. Maybe visit this low, move up to that high. Okay. That's just my opinion. We'll see. Or maybe we start a $10 range of highs and lows as we consolidate over to the right. That would be cool too. Either one. Some form of consolidation would be nice. I'd rather see the consolidation than a failed breakout. Really. Because that would at least build a shelf for us to fall to, or a floor, all right? Instead of just falling out the window to some new abstract lows. Okay, so here we got red erases green under 687.75, pivot 680.90, above it I'm a bull, below it I'm a bear. Green erases red over 683.40. You can see we're already doing that, and we're coming up to the ceiling area. So we'll see. We probably spike it and then pull back. All right. So I like 2 days and 9 days till expiration. Friday options on the multiple of 5. I like them specifically for the open interest. I trade strikes $2 to $15 out of the money. I trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I trade 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. You guys know my favorite trade. It is the 10-minute uptrend over VWAP that resides inside the 2-hour uptrend, that resides inside the daily uptrend, the weekly uptrend, and the monthly uptrend, okay? Because got all the bigger time frames supporting my 10-minute uptrend. I like it when it's over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's my ultimate setup. I love that one, all right? And we're busting out new highs, all right? Same thing on QQQ, all right? Okay, so if we have a breakout this morning, I'm going to tell you, I don't expect it to get far. I don't expect us to get all the way up to the all-time highs. If we do, stick with the trend, okay? That's what I'm saying. I'm going to stick with the trend until it ends, all right? But I don't expect to get, up to the all-time highs yet. I think we do at least a day or two of consolidation. Game plan for QQQ. Green erases red entry over 622.90. We're already up over it. Pivot 620.55. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Red erases green underneath 618.15. All right, let's take it and look at it with the pre-market on. All right, let's take all this stuff out of the way. Okay, bullish consolidation. Holding the higher ground. More consolidation over prior consolidation, some bullish clue. Again, I expect more movement to the right, okay? If they break out of the top, I'll trade the breakout, all right? But I don't expect them to get too far with the breakout. All right, so if we get a breakout over the top, so we get consolidation, and we'll look for a breakout of this range right through here. Okay, so a breakout up over that. Okay, I'll be looking for a breakout up over that, or a breakdown under this area here. Break down under that, a breakout over that. Okay, if I get a breakdown here, they're probably coming to visit where VWAP left off yesterday and this, and they probably bounce right back up. So I want to see breakdown underneath the consolidation. Okay, so breakout on the top, breakdown on the bottom there. Same thing on SPY. Okay, trade the breakout over the top for me, and then the breakdown underneath VWAP, underneath here. Okay, underneath all of the consolidation. Okay, because after they hit the breakout, they may come back, hit gap fill, all right, and then rip back up over. So there's SPY. That's my plan this morning for trading SPY, trading the breakout over the top. Remember, the ceiling's not far overhead, like 686, 686.50. I mean, let's look over here to the left. You can see he's right at the top of that candle where things stop. See? Right here. So I'm not expecting, we're already there. See that? I mean, we're already right there. So I think it's probably going to be a failed breakout, and then you'll see it come back down and visit the lows. If the lows don't hold, then I'll trade the breakdown. Okay, you see the ceiling right there? This is the all-time high up there. See underneath the blue letters, and underneath right here, we're already at that ceiling area for SPY. All right, that's it for me today, traders. All right, I'll be back in about 30 minutes, and we'll open up the markets. Okay. Sharing the FNGU is the one that does 10 stocks. Is the answer to your question. That's the one with, yeah, that's the one with 10. The mags, that's the 7. It's, yeah, Magnificent 7, and FNGU has the 10. All right, I'll see you guys in